Hi there. Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, Resolve, to be exact. It is the second game and all. The first episode, we found ourselves in quite the pickle. And also quite the new situation, because we were with our boy, Ryotaro Naruhodo, Ryunosuke's very famous, well-known cousin, who isn't Susato, obviously. We didn't get too far into the meat of the trial because, we were sort of reacquainting ourselves with everything. And everyone, including our dad, Dr. Mikotaba. But we were left with a query. Behind the woman's student persona was the face of, like I said last time, obviously it's Queen Victoria. That's why it's a controversy, because holy shit, the Queen is dead. Long live the Queen. Yeah, say it with confidence. Queen Victoria, obviously. Bro, it's true. You can't deny it. Obviously not. The Queen of England? Studying overseas? I thought it sounded a little odd. Leave me out of this. I'm sure you know all the details in the case in question from 9 months ago. Oh yes, how could I forget? I know every last detail about it. Then what on earth was that absurd answer you just gave? No more absurdity, please, Counsel. You will amend your answer. Yes, of course, Your Excellency. Did they both have to call my answer absurd? That's a little rude, I would think. Behind the woman's student persona was the face of... a victim? I mean, she is a victim in this case, so, A victim, obviously! Yeah, clearly she's fucking dead. I mean, it says right here, the victim of the case. I'm just saying. The victim's role is already taken, Counsel. As you should know. That answer came with such misguided confidence, I was almost taken in. I thought it sounded a little odd. Don't. Check the court record and find the correct answer to the question of Miss Brett's true identity. You'll find it in the people section. That won't do, Counsel. Amend your answer before you have any more victims to contend with. Yes, of course, Your Excellency. Yeah, okay, yeah. Fine, she's a killer.
Yes!
But I mean, we're all killers. I mean, is anyone truly innocent in this world? 9 months ago, a visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University was killed. And the culprit was Giselle Brett. Yes, she was a killer. Oh yeah, that guy, John Wilson. At the time, our country had just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain. And it was in the midst of this delicate diplomatic situation that the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Wilson, was shot dead. I believe he was an associate of yours. Oh wait, who was talking? Was that the judge? I thought it was Mikotaba still talking. I guess it was the judge. My bad. Again. Yes, I was indebted to the man. He'd been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. Indeed, it was I who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of an Englishman on our soil was a matter that the government wished to resolve rapidly. Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court. There he was. A student of the Imperial Yume University was arrested on suspicion of murder. A second-year English language student by the name of Ryunosuke Naruhodo Yeah, so we were studying the English language. With the help of his best friend, a student lawyer, the accused conducted his own defense. And exposed the despicable crime committed by Miss Giselle Brett. That we did. That we did. It was pretty epic and cool. Miss Brett eventually admitted to her crime. However, when questioned about the motive that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life, she gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion. And I still wonder why she framed fucking Naruhodo anyway. I mean, really, it was her choice to frame Ryunosuke that led to her being, you know, found out in the first place. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the whole thing with the poison, and like that was basically a foolproof method of getting away with murder, at least in Japan, because I mean there was no you know, even way to even detect the poison, you know. But by framing Ryunosuke by shooting Wilson, you know, it was that string of that series of events that led to her eventually being found out. So I still wonder why she felt the need to do it. But yeah, also the motive for doing the murder in the first place is also a good question. She gave... yeah, we already said that line. Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its consular jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. It was decided that she would be removed to Shanghai, China instead. Why Shanghai? There's a British consular court there. Correct. I oversaw the negotiations personally. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. All that remained of our empire's obligations were to see the woman safely on board a steamship. And yet, the very day before her departure, the Englishwoman was killed. Only the day before? That's, untimely. That will do. I'm satisfied that the counsel for the defense is sufficiently capable of representing the defendant. Oh, cool. And epic. Based, even, you might say. Thank you, Your Excellency. Over the first hurdle. Now, a summary of the incident, if you please. Prosecutor Auchi. Are you gonna do your thing? Oh, okay. As is your wish, Your Excellency. Haha. The repugnant crime took place on the 11th of August in broad daylight. Oh, hey, that's nice. A lovely little beach vista. On the outskirts of the imperial capital, under a bright blue sky, at a secluded bathing spot by the sea. The incident occurred inside a small beach hut erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes. She doesn't look exactly, in the best clothes for bathing, might I say. Also, is her swan dead too? Did the murderer also kill her bird? Like, lived atop her head permanently, it would seem? The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung. An injury which proved fatal. I mean, yeah, most times, if your lungs are pierced, I would assume you're on the road to dying. There were two persons alone together in the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett, in her bathing attire. What kind of bathing... oh, okay, the photo's not in there, but what kind of bathing attire was that? She looks basically like she was wearing the same thing as when we found her, or talked to her. And the accused, remember me. Accordingly, there can be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when we consider she had a powerful motive. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady. Well, that extraordinary description of events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say. In a good way or a bad way? That's certainly true. The prosecution summary was full of words that raised an awful lot of questions. Really? I mean, I'm not saying it's true what happened, but that seems like a reasonable summary of or at least a basic summary of the events. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about... I mean, all those things are kind of curious. Why was Ray alone with Miss Giselle Brett? What was the motive? And what was the bathing spot? And again, what her bathing attire? That doesn't look like bathing attire? What about that, maybe? If I may, Prosecutor Alchi. What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel student? I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned a bathing spot. Ha! My apologies. Clearly my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trends in health practices from the West. Is it like a hot tub thing, or, We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skin's, No, that's not what I meant. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had to all intents and purposes been found guilty of murder. Oh yeah, good question. I didn't even think about that aspect of things. Like, why was she out bathing if she was found guilty of murder? What's that about? Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea? For old time's sake, I believe. Sorry. Miss Brett was to depart for Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy our day at our country's wonderful coast. And the British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply. Man, does the British Embassy just love murderers and stuff? But on what grounds would we agree to such a request? Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. Damn, I didn't know the Empire of Japan was full of bitches. In matters of diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal. Don't look at me, Professor! It was the government who granted permission, not I! In any case, it was decided that with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong. But in fact, something did go wrong. The bitch fucking died, so, like, what's that about? Am I right, fellas? A murder took place. I said, don't look at me! It was that young student girl that did it, not I. No one has proved that yet. I wouldn't provoke the man if you don't need to. At this stage, I need to gather more information, I think. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about... yeah, okay, I guess all three things might be relevant, so let's just go down the line. Minbami-san. Yes, what is it, Susibaka? I mean, Naruhodo-san. I'm really starting to wish we'd made I'm really starting to wish we'd made my alias... What am I fucking saying? My alias, Ryotaro Sasato. Please tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place, and why you were alone with her. Oh, well, no. That's not true. It wasn't like that at all. There were other people present. A detective who was guarding Miss Brett, for starters. That's a fair point. If someone was there, if there was someone guarding her, who's to say that they didn't do it, you know? I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion. That's all. But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut. You and no one else. Go? The truth is, there's only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing sojourn. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life. No. Because, as we know, the following day would see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai. And the accuser would never have an opportunity to dispatch her again. Kindly refrain from conjecture, counsel. The prosecution counsel seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. But for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him goad you. Oh dear. This is really terrifying. But Father's right. We do need more information. Okay, so now let's check about the motive. If there is a powerful motive, we should probably want to know. You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement. Tut, tut, tut. It's a younger boy using long words you don't fully understand. I beg your pardon? No matter. Let us put this to the accused, shall we? Mimbami-san, you are a research assistant at the Imperial Yume University, I believe. Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikotoba in his laboratory at the moment. I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility. Fascinating to hear. Now, another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikotoba, whose research were you assisting then? Well, I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson. Dr. Wilson? The visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago. Huh. So I guess you could make the case that she was, looking for revenge, I see. Yeah, I mean, I guess the motive is there. The accused had a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true? Yes. Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man. Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had towards the Englishwoman who killed him. Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done. A powerful hatred. Oh no, Ray, be careful of what you're saying. Yeah, but when you say things like deep-seated hatred, it does kind of make you look kind of, a bit sus, And trust me, I would know about being sus. Ah. The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency. I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration, instead continuing her research work at the university. Jeez, she really got a fucking slap on the wrist for doing a whole ass murder, huh? That's a bit messed up, if you ask me. Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions. Seeing the murder of the mentor for whom she held such great respect, enjoying such Undeserved liberty? Yes. Even if it was only temporary, until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai. You can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Like, again, it does seem slightly fucked up, if you ask me. Poor Ray. So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind as to peruse this exhibit. A photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident. Looks like there's a lot of little details to keep in mind. Okay, but also on second thought, yeah, that does look more like bathing attire than what she had worn before. But she still has that dumb hat with the swan. Curious. Yes. Thank you, Counsel. A tragic image. As you can clearly see, there was nowhere within the hut that anyone else could have hidden. Well, what about the dress? That big dress in the back corner? Maybe someone was hiding behind there, you know? Is that really so strange? The court will accept this photographic print as evidence. The photograph of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. Nice, nice. As I understand it then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at the time. This is deeply troubling, I must say. The finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant. Well, Your Excellency, naturally, the prosecution has much more to its case. Oh, fuck. We intend to prove the accuser's appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime and damning evidence. Well, that's not a good... Witnesses and damning evidence? That's not normally a good combination. Witnesses? But who? Realistically, okay, I just want to say though, if apparently the two of them were alone together, how can there have been witnesses? I mean, I feel like, I'm just saying, you know, if there were people who could have seen it, then that means there are people who could have done it, you know? One of whom, I might add, is a highly respected police detective. I assure you, the testimony of these witnesses will leave no room for doubt. Ugh. I'll be the judge of that. I mean, okay, technically the judge will be the judge of that, but I, as a player, will also be the judge of that. Very well then, Counsel. Bring forth your witnesses. I, Takasuchi Ouchi, have been waiting for this moment. Sorry? Oh yes, I haven't forgotten that trial 9 months ago here in this very courthouse. When that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me. Oh yeah, your hair. Nah, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. What, yeah, pal? This insult to the Ouchi family name will never be forgotten. And then we totally fucked you over and cursed your family for like 1,000 millennia. So even in like space, fucking Ace Attorney, there'll be like descendants of the Payne family who will have their hair fucked up irrevocably by rights and Naruhodo's. You become conceited with age, Counsel, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. Yeah, he got kind of fucked. And now here he stands. Strike the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut, and the bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died. Okay, geez, you're being a little over... I think you're being a touch over dramatic. The start of your own mini-Megi revolution. Are you modernizing... God, why can't I fucking speak today? Are you modernizing... Are you modernizing as well, Council? Silence! Since I swore revenge back then, there has been a minor miracle atop my head. Observe the ouchy growth. You see? You see the seed of hope sprouting forth from this barren expanse of my crown? I mean... I think you're overstating it a little. I mean, hair is just hair, my dude. I wouldn't read too much into it. I think that tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where's hope exactly? I said silence! Today, I face another yokel student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you! And my victory will be fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned. Geez, he's not messing around, is he? With that, the prosecution calls the witnesses to the stand. It looks like the stakes are high on both sides in this trial. The prosecution and defense each has much to lose. A haircut is hardly comparable to raised life. I mean, according to the fucking ouchies, they take their, oh, hi! Hello. Those are two faces I am very familiar with. Though, they both look slightly different. Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court. Why do you have a turtle on your head, Mr. Hosonaga? Or, sorry, Inspector Hosonaga. Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Imperial Police Bureau. I'm in disguise, obviously, so I can go undetected. And I am, well, the next big thing in books. An author renowned throughout the capital, in fact. Yes, soon to be sold out, the satirical I Am a Cat, a sensational success, by Suzuki Natsume. Well, hey, looks like things are fucking coming up Natsume in the 6 months or however many time has passed, realistically. Also, you got a guy with you too. That's pretty cool. Oh my goodness! Struggling student from the provinces, please! You needn't be in awe of me. I needn't. It's only natural that you feel nervous in my presence. But all of you, please relax. Call me Suzuki, even. Yes. What on earth is Suzuki-san doing here? Tread carefully, Susato. That author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you for who you really are, this will be over before it's begun. Yes, of course, I know. I presume Suzuki-san won't have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so that it's been since I last saw him. Well, hey, I mean, if he's, you know, a successful author now, it's understandable that he hopefully be a little bit happier, you know? And as for Inspector Hosonaga, that amazing outfit is, hard to believe. Again, why does he have a turtle on his head? Do I have something on my face? Well, really, it's more atop your head, but, you know. Well, your glasses for one. Although they don't seem to be helping you see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either. Well, I mean, I can see Hosonaga picking up that you're Susato, but Suzuki is not exactly a master of observation, so I could assume that he probably doesn't actually recognize you in your new outfit and stuff. Ah, I suppose it's this disguise, is it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. It is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present. But what business did a writer such as yourself have being at the scene, Suzuki-san? Well, you see, I had been asked that day to give a lecture. On the morning of the incident, in the Imperial Yume University's Grand Lecture Hall, no less. At Yume University? After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with a researcher from the Medical Science Department. The professor over there, in fact. With with Professor Mikotaba. Yes, that's right. It was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or other about 2 former students who studied in Great Britain. Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leave me alone. They secretly spy, snap shots, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. Yeah, that's, such is the price of being a big shot. As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Oh, sorry. Read it at your leisure, my provincial, struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies. Thank you very much. He practically threw that paper at me. The Soseki Natsume article has been entered into the court record. A newspaper containing an article about a discussion between my father and Soseki-san. The debate became quite spirited. Anyway, following my interview with the professor, the lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Those were her words. As I explained before, Miss Brett was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory, under strict surveillance, of course. At which utterance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance. And the response was, permit Miss Brett to go as long as a detective accompanies her. That detective, I am at liberty to divulge, was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga. I mean, presumably, who else would it be? Thereby, the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems. And, indeed, it seems she was selling she-saws by the seashore. It was extremely challenging to clear all of the members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. But fortunately, I am at peak physical fitness at the moment, so I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly. I'm pretty sure still bleeding from the mouth from your tuberculosis or other strange afflictions is probably a proof that you're not at physical condition, I would think. But, I mean, what do I know? Oh my, Inspector, you... Well, you do have something on your face now. Ah, how unsightly. I do apologize. Does that mean that you went to the beach too, Father? No. Fortunately, I had work to finish off. But unfortunately, of course, it meant that, as my assistant, Ray was invited to take my place. Of course, being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. But if only I had, I'd never have seen that awful sight! Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret. Very well. I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give an account of all that you witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast. Of course, Your Excellency. I will say, at least your cough sounds slightly less labored than it did from my last recollections, because as I recall last time, it was like, you know, it was pretty rough. This is a little more subdued, so I don't know. Maybe your condition is getting better. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret I am. Ah well. I suppose even with some success, at your side, Saseki finds himself still slightly racked by negative emotions. We can't expect him to be too much of a chipper guy. Anyway, on the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. Again, I must ask, sir, why do you have a turtle on your noggin? I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran into the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes! That young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. Oh, that's not good. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times. Is that so? Indeed. It does appear from this testimony that both witnesses here present saw it. The very moment of this heinous crime. What? Now, if you recall, I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Ah, yes, that was it. Damning evidence. What have you there, Counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it? Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene whilst examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments, with her final ounce of strength, oh, let me guess, did Giselle Brett write a message with a fountain pen with her last of her strength that says Ray? Let me guess, is that what we're getting at? The victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer. What? Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more. Ah, goodness me. Yes, the victim is clearly grasping something quite deliberately there in her hand. That's right. The fountain pen. Okay, I guess maybe she didn't write a message in ink. It was just, you know, a fountain pen. So I don't see how a fountain pen is the size of evidence. And if you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency. Yeah, you're a judge, not the Queen of England. Ah! The owner's initials have been engraved into the ebonite barrel. R.M. Ray Membami. The initials of the defendant. Ah! No! Man, she even has the same damage animation as Ryunosuke. This fountain pen will be admitted immediately as critical evidence. I mean, is that really critical evidence, if you think about it? Like, it's a pen that she had in her hand that just happens to have the initials RM. Do we know that was Ray's pen? I mean, it could have belonged to someone else with those initials. Or it could just be like, oh, this is a RM brand pen, you know? Like, I'm sure like really fancy, you know, like there are certain brands, right? You know, where they have like their initials as like part of the brand. Who's to say it wasn't just like a brand thing or like something, you know? We don't know for a fact that it belonged to Ray. So, haha, have I omitted anything? Decisive testimony and damning evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel. Okay, it's not nap time, Ryotaro. We gotta fucking man up and fuck shit up. I don't understand. The prosecutor ouchie of 9 months ago had none of this man's poise. Yeah, he does seem to be going kind of hard. He's kind of hard in the paint, if you will. But I'm sure, you know, if we just press a little harder, we can make him crumble like the little bitch boy he is. Counsel for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now. Come on, man. Naruhodo-san. Naruhodo. That means... Oh, yes, me. Is there another Naruhodo in my courtroom? Actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom, but you don't need to know that. Cousin Ryotaro, pull yourself together, please. Like, literally, for my sake, for your sake, for Rei's sake. Just, come on, man. Alright. I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. Find inconsistencies in the witnesses' testimonies to prove that they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. So let's see what I can do. Besides, these are like two trustworthy guys. We know they're not like lying pieces of shit, you know? They might be mistaken or like misremembering, but I don't think they'd just lie for the sake of it, so I'm sure it won't be too hard to parse the real truth. The witness scene, by the way. But anyways, on talk of cross-examinations and such, now that we have this opportunity, this seems like a good place to leave off, because, you know, it's the end of the end of one segment and the beginning of the next, you know? We can press, we can prod, we can present, you know, we can postulate even, you know, if we want to get real fancy. But we will save that for the next episode, I think. So far, it's been really interesting, and, well, it's interesting to see the returning characters. I mean, I like Inspector Osanaga, and of course, I like my boy Soseki-san. And even though Aoki seems a bit, you know, more focused than usual, so all the ingredients so far are there for a memorable case, so I'm definitely interested in seeing how it will go from here. Though I already kind of see the contradiction, I think, because they said something about multiple stab wounds, but the autopsy report says a single stab wound, so kind of think that's a bit sus. But you know me, I like to press and, you know, get to the bottom of every detail before I present. But anyway, here I am spoiling what I'm gonna... Look at me. Clearly I'm not a fucking professional, or else you think you know I wouldn't fucking spoil before we even get to that episode. But oh well. Like I said, next time we will dive into this cross-examination proper. But until then, I will see you around.